You can draw this in Procreate. You can draw this cute bear in Procreate. All you have to do is follow this tutorial all the way till the end. We'll be using the brushes that are already in the Procreate app and a free brush that you can find through freefromflow.com. Do be mindful though, if you have already signed up through freefromflow.com, then just check the weekly newsletter. At freefromflow, you won't just find lots of free brushes, but also color palettes, a fun prompt list, and my special ebook about color theory. For this tutorial, I will guide you through every single step. And remember, if things are going too fast, then just hit pause or rewind, take your time. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, then do be sure to check out the other You Can Draw This video tutorials. And if you really like cute stuff, then you might like this cute puppy tutorial that I have shared at Patreon. Oh, and if you follow this tutorial all the way till the end, then you can share your work on Instagram. If you tag me in the image, not just in the description, then you might see your work in the next You Can Draw This video tutorial. But now let's just get started. First of all, the canvas is 2300 pixels by 3000 pixels. And the color profile is set to sRGB. And I have created a color palette which you can download for free through the link in the description in case you want to use the exact same colors as I'm using during this tutorial. First thing we'll do is change the color of the background. You can just go to the layer menu by clicking the two little squares, then click background color and pick this color over here in the color palette. It's a very light pinkish color. Then we'll go back to layer 1. And the first thing we'll create is a big heart. The color we'll use is this red color, this second color here in the middle. And for our brush, we will use the monoline brush, which you can find under calligraphy. To make it easier to create a heart, we are going to use the symmetry tool. You can find it by going to the wrench, then to canvas, and then turn on drawing guide. And then click Edit Drawing Guide. Now here at the bottom you can pick Symmetry. And then you can click Done. And now whatever you draw on the left side will also show up on the right side and the other way around. The opacity of the brush is set to 100% and the size is at 27% or 28, 27, 27%. It doesn't really matter, you can do whatever you prefer. But I like the brush to be a little bit big. And now you can either draw on the left side of your canvas or on the right side, whatever you prefer. I like to go from the bottom and then to the left to the top, but perhaps you'll find the other way more natural. I'll start about here and make a heart shape like this. And if you feel like your lines are a little bit wobbly, you can just go over again and adjust your heart a little bit. And then you can drag in the color by dragging in the circle like this and filling your shape. And I'll need to fill this edge as well. Now I just have a little bit of a thingy here at the bottom. I want to remove that and I want to use the eraser to do that. And I want to use the eraser set to the monoline brush as well. To do that, I'll just click the eraser and hold it so that it will switch to the monoline brush. And now I can clean up this bottom part. Now that we have our heart, we can turn off the symmetry tool. We can go to the wrench, turn off the drawing guide, and then go to the layer menu and turn it off here in the layer menu as well, because you can see that the layer is still assisted. That means that symmetry is still turned on. You can click the layer and turn off drawing assist. Next, I would like to transform this heart a little bit. We'll go to the move tool. That's the little arrow here at the top. And I want to rotate it a little bit and make it slightly smaller. When you make it smaller, do be sure that you set it to uniform. And to rotate it, you can use this little green handle. I'll make it slightly smaller. And I'll place it around here. I think this is a great place for a heart to be. And then you can just click the arrow to get out of that menu. Now let's draw our cute little bear. We'll create a new layer to do that. We'll go to the layer menu by clicking the two little squares, then click the plus for a new layer and drag it underneath the heart. And for our color, we will pick this fourth color in the color palette. We'll still be using the monoline brush, and let's make an oval. Hold your pen in place to make it snap to a perfect oval. And the size should be something like this. You can click Edit Shape to adjust it a little bit. And this will be the base of our bear's head. Make it a little bit smaller. I'll go for something like this, and then you can just drag in the color to fill that shape. And now we will go back to the symmetry tool. We'll go back to the wrench, turn on the drawing guide, and go to Edit Drawing Guide. And now we are going to adjust the symmetry tool a bit. You can click this green handle and rotate it. And the bear's head, it'll be a bit rotated, a bit to the side. So we'll have a diagonal line, and you want to put it in the center of the bear's face. So it should be a bit like this. And then you can click Done to get out of that menu. Now that we have our new symmetry line, we need to go to the layer menu, and we need to turn on Drawing Assist for this layer so that symmetry will be turned on. Now click that layer and then click Drawing Assist. Now symmetry is turned on for this layer. And now let's adjust the shape of the bear's head a little bit. We'll go to the magic wand and then to liquefy. And while you have it set to push, you can just squish its head a little bit, adjust the shape, play around with the bear's head until it's less like an oval and more dynamic. It looks a bit more like a bear face. Actually, it just looks like a brown squished oval, but bear with me. Now we'll go out of the liquefy menu by clicking that magic wand. And now let's add some ears to our bear. We'll still be using that monoline brush, and let's draw an ear. And at the same time, another ear will appear on the other side. Let's just make a nice bear ear and drag in the color to fill it. I actually want it to be a little bit bigger, so you can just adjust it. I like them like this. Next, I want to add the hands and feet of the bear. We'll go to the layer menu to these two little squares, and we'll place the hands on top of the heart shape. So first click layer 1, then click the plus for a new layer. And on this layer, we will draw the hands. And we will create a simple looking bear hand shape. Just a simple shape like this. And you can drag in the color to fill it. And of course, you can adjust it a little bit. I want that thumb to be over there. You can just play around until you have something that looks like this. And we'll make another hand over here. Again, a simple shape with a little thumb, and drag in the color to fill it. And you can just take your time drawing these bear paws. You can adjust them until you have something that you like. Now let's draw the feet. The feet should be behind our heart shape. So first let's click layer 2, then the plus, so that this layer is underneath the heart. Let's draw paw number 1 first. Let's go for a shape like this. Make sure that you close the shape behind that heart, and then drag in the color to fill it. I feel like its paw is a little bit small, so I'm going to make it bigger. Make sure you close that shape before you fill it. And you can just go on adjusting until you have a paw that you like. Then we'll make a new layer underneath this one. So click layer 2 again, and then click the plus. And now let's make that second foot. Close the shape behind the other shapes and then drag in the color to fill it. Now we have our basic shapes for our bear. We are going to add fur to it. But first, let me turn off that diagonal line, that symmetry line. Let's go to the wrench and then turn off drawing guide. It's still active. When you go to the layer menu, you can see that it's still active on layer 2. It's still assisted. So symmetry will still work there. And let's start there. Let's click layer 2 and let's add some fur. We are going to the treasure chest brushes. Like I said, you can go to freefromflow.com to get these brushes. We'll use the soft short fur brush. And let's first pick this dark color over here. We are going to start by adding some dark fur to the ears. The brush opacity is set to 80% and the size is at 25%. And now let's just add a little bit of dark fur to this ear. And with this fur brush, the direction of the fur is, well, it depends on the angle of your pen. It's as if that hair is coming out of the tip of your pen. And you can add that fur like this. And next, let's grab that base color of the fur. You can just hold your finger on your screen, grab that color, and let's make the brush a little bit smaller. I can't see the size now. Hold on. Yeah, let's go for 14%. And now let's add a little bit of fur to the outside of its face and of its ears, so that it doesn't look that clean anymore. Just go all along that face, the top of its head, until it's all covered with fur. Until it looks nice and fuzzy. That's already looking really cute. Now let's grab a lighter color, a lighter fur color. We'll pick this color over here. And now let's add some light to its fur. Let's first go over the ears. Add a little bit of light to that edge. And I will go over the face, but I'll make the brush a little bit bigger for that. I'll go to 25% again. And let's just gently go over its face. I'm using very, very little pressure, and I'm making these rounded motions to get a correct direction for the fur. Now here in the center, I want to make its little snout. So I'll make the brush a little bit smaller. I'll go for 14% again. And let's create a little muzzle here. Making that slightly lighter than the rest. And we'll add its facial features later. Now let's make it bigger again, the brush. We'll go to 25% again. And I'll just continue layering that fur here. And you can also switch to this color over here, that third color. It's a nice warm brown. And add a little bit of darker fur here to the center, for example. And here on the underside. Adding a slight shadow, a little bit over here. You want some color variation for the fur. Now, shall we give it a face? Let's do that. Let's go to the layer menu by going to these two little squares and let's create a new layer on top of layer 2. Let's click the plus and let's grab another brush. Let's grab the fine liner brush, which is also part of the treasure chest. And for the color, let's pick this darkest color over here. The brush opacity is set to 100% and the size is at 14%. And now let's first create a nose. Let's make a big nose in the center of that muzzle. Now let's just color it like this. Color it in. I'll go for something like this, and let's give it 2 little eyes. One over here, and he'll need another one. Let's give him one over here as well, and let's give him a little smile. We'll make a curved line to the right, and a curved line to the left. Giving it a cute smile like this. Now let's go and add fur to the hands and feet. We'll use a slightly different approach there. We'll go to layer 3 with the hands on it first and click the plus for a new layer. Now click this layer and set it to clipping mask. Now whatever we paint on this layer will only show up on these hands. Let's go back to the soft short fur brush. And let's grab this light fur color first. And let's add some fur texture to these paws. Now by the way, if you're wondering why does Flo have a band-aid on her finger, I accidentally poured boiling water over my hands, which is a very bad idea. And it's looking a bit messy, so I need a band-aid. Then let's grab a darker color. Let's grab this third color in the color palette and add a little bit of darker fur over here. We'll just start off with this left hand and then we'll switch to the other one. And you can just switch between fur color. Let's go back to that 5th color again. I just want a little bit more light fur here. And I'll switch to this paw and add some fur texture here. And then switch back to that darker color, that 3rd one. And add some more texture. Let's do the same for the feet. First, let's go to layer 5. That's that right foot. Let's click the plus for a new layer and set this one to clipping mask as well, so we can add some fur texture. I'll actually start with the dark fur. I'll start with the light fur, and let's add some fur texture. You can see that I'm holding my pen this way to get that right direction for the fur. Then we'll switch to the dark color, the 3rd one. And let's add some darker fur here. It's a little bit in shadow because of that big heart. And now let's move to layer 4, that's the other foot. Click the plus for a new layer and set it to clipping mask. We'll start with the light color again. Let's add some fur texture. And then switch to the dark color for some darker fur and a little bit of shadow here because of that big heart. Now these hands and feet still look way too smooth. These edges are way too crisp. We don't want that. So we'll go back to layer 3 here for the hands. Grab that base color that we used for the fur, for the hands. For the fur, and now we are going along the edges to create some more fur texture. First we'll make the brush smaller. Let's go for 8%, and let's just go along the edges to create a slight furry edge. And you might need to rotate your canvas and zoom in to just go along the edges and make sure that you get that right direction for your pen. I'm gonna go even smaller for the brush. Let's go for 5%. We'll do the same for this hand. Let's go along the edge. And keep an eye on the direction of your pen. And we'll do this for the feet as well. First, let's go to layer 4. That's that one on the left. And let's just go along that edge, making it look more fuzzy. Until you've covered everything. Then on to the next foot, layer 5. And go along the edge there. You might need to make multiple strokes, making it look nice and fuzzy. Alright, now our bear looks nice and fuzzy. Let's move on to the heart. Let's go to the heart shape and create a new layer on top by clicking the plus, and let's set this to layer clipping mask so that what we draw on this layer will only show up on the heart. So click the layer and then click clipping mask. And now let's grab this yellow color over here. And let's go back to the monoline brush, which you can find under calligraphy. And now let's make a ribbon around our heart. And just below that left hand, we'll make a smooth line to the other side of the heart. A little bit curved. And just below that, we'll make another curved line. So that we have a nice ribbon around our heart. It doesn't look like a ribbon yet. We need to fill that shape. Make sure that you close the shape on each side before you drag in the color to fill it. Now I feel like it's a little bit thin over here, so I'm making another line. I think this is looking better. And then just fill it like that. Now I want to make a bow on top of it, but before we do that, I'm going to add some lighting to this ribbon. And we'll do that by clicking the layer and selecting Alpha Lock. Now, when we paint on this layer 10, the paint will only show up on the paint that's already on the layer. So that's that ribbon. No paint will show up anywhere else on this like checkerboard field. For our brush, we will go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And now let's first grab this. Let's grab this first color here in the color palette. And the brush opacity is set to 70% and the size is at 12%. And let's darken this area up a little bit. Now let's make the brush a little bit smaller. I'll go for 7%. Let's add a little bit of shadow to this left side. I'll also darken up this side a little bit. And I will grab a lighter color. That's the fourth color here in the color palette. Let's make the brush even smaller. 3%. And let's add some light here. And on this side as well, just a little stroke. This will give our ribbon like a golden glow. And we'll go to the magic wand, then to Gaussian blur, set to layer. And now drag your pen to the right to blur this layer a little bit. I'll go for 9%. Now let's create a new layer on top here. Let's click the plus. And now we are going to create our ribbon. We'll go back to the calligraphy brushes and use the monoline brush. And we'll grab that yellow again, that third color over here. First thing we'll create is a little like oval shape. That's the base of our bow. And drag in the color to fill the shape. You might need to tidy it up if you made a wobbly one like me. Until you have something like this. And then we'll create another layer underneath it. So first click layer 10 again, then the plus. And now we are going to create like a butterfly shape. We'll start here at the top. And then make a butterfly shape like this. Close the shape. And make another one on this side. Close the shape behind it. And then you can fill these two by dragging in the color. Now again, we'll go to the layer menu, click layer 10 again, and click the plus for a new layer. Now we are going to make part of the ribbon here at the bottom. We'll start with a curved line like this to create this nice ribbon here. Be sure again to close your shape. And you might want to adjust it a little bit here. You can go to the eraser and make it a little bit more pointy. You might want to zoom in a little bit to get more control. Get this nice pointy effect. Then we'll create another layer on top of this one. So click the plus, go to the monoline brush again, and let's make another part of the ribbon. Close the shape behind there. And go up a little bit here. And again, you can use the eraser to make it look more pointy. Until you have something that looks like this. Now we need to add some shadow and highlight to make it look more realistic. Let's see, let's start with these ribbons. Let's start with this one that we just made. Let's click the layer and select Alpha Lock. Because remember, now we can only paint on this shape and our paint won't show up on that checkerboard area. Now let's go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And let's first pick this dark color over here. Let's make our brush a little bit bigger, perhaps 10%. And let's go over this top area using very little pressure to darken that up a little bit. And then we can switch to that lightest yellow. Let's make our brush a little bit smaller this time, 6%. And add a little bit of a highlight here. Back to that other part of the ribbon, layer 13. Let's use Alpha Lock here as well. Still using the soft brush, and let's first add a little shadow using that dark color. And let's go over this area, adding that shadow there. And then switch to that lightest yellow to add a little bit of a highlight. Now let's move on to the other parts. Let's go for this layer 11 first. Let's click it, click Alpha Lock, and let's grab this color over here, that second color. I'll make the brush 10% and we'll darken that underside just a little bit. And now let's go for a highlight. So we'll click the fourth color, Make the brush a little bit smaller, 6%. And let's lighten up that top part. Next part, let's go to layer 12. First, I'd like to make a new layer on top here. So we'll click the plus for a new layer on top of layer 12. And we'll click that layer and select clipping mask. So whatever we paint here will only show up on that part of the ribbon. Now we'll go to the calligraphy brushes again and use the monoline brush. And we'll grab this second color over here. And now we'll draw that inside of the ribbon. We'll start about here and make a curved line like this. And fill it. You can just color it in, or you can use the fill drop technique. Not sure what to call it. Color drop. So just make that inside like this, and then on the other side as well. Fill it in like this. Make sure that it's nice and curved. Can make this one a little bit bigger. Like that. And now on this layer we can use alpha lock again. We'll click layer 15, turn on alpha lock, and now we can grab this darker color, use the airbrush again, the soft brush, and we can add a little bit of shadow here. Add a little bit of shadow on this side, and for this area we'll make the brush a little bit smaller, 4%. We can darken that. And now we'll go to layer 12, and again, you can guess it, we are going to turn on alpha lock to add a little bit of shadow here as well. Let's first grab this color over here, the second one, and add a little bit of shadow right next to that middle part. And if we make the brush a little bit smaller, let's go for a small 2%. We can add these lines, a bit like folds in that ribbon. On this side as well, just a short little curved line. Finally, let's add a little bit of a highlight. We'll use that fourth color for that. And we'll make the brush a little bit bigger again, maybe 5%, and add a little bit of light to the outside. And here as well. Now I want to add shadow to the heart and a little bit to the ribbon as well, because here you can see that the bear is holding the heart here, and it should drop a little shadow on the ribbon. So let's go back to layer 10 and grab that dark color over here, and with that soft brush we'll just go over this area right next to the bear's hand, giving it a very slight shadow. And now let's go to the heart and add some shadow there. That's layer 1, and we can use alpha lock again. We'll click that layer, select alpha lock, and let's grab this dark color first. I'll make the brush bigger. Let's go for 13%, and let's first add some global shadow. We'll make this left side a little bit darker, and we'll imagine that the light is coming from this direction, so this will be lighter and this left side will be darker. So just adding some global light. And now let's make the brush a little bit smaller, and we'll add some more shadow. Let's go for 6%, and let's go along the edge of the ribbon, for instance. It'll cast a very slight shadow on that heart, as well as this hand. It's dropping a little shadow as well, and these parts of the ribbon here. Let's make the brush even smaller. Let's go for, what was it, 3%. A little shadow over here. We'll just follow that shape of the ribbon, and on this side as well. as it's dropping a shadow on the heart. A little shadow here as well, and this hand will drop a little shadow too. And we'll see a slight shadow over here. Now let's move to the light. We'll pick this third color over here. Make our brush a little bit bigger again, 8%. And let's just add a little bit of light here at the top. Making circular motions. And a little bit of light here. Giving that heart a little bit more depth. We're almost there, you're doing great. Let's add a shadow underneath our bear as well. So we'll give it some ground. Let's go to the bottom of the layers. Let's click layer 2, that's the bear's head. Click the plus and drop this layer all the way to the bottom because that shadow, it's all the way to the bottom behind everything else. For our color, let's pick that darkest color, the darkest color for our shadow. We'll still be using the soft brush, but I'll make it pretty small. Let's go for 3% and let's draw a shadow here at the bottom. Since our brush is a little bit transparent, you might need to make multiple strokes to make it nice and dark here. And now that you have this, you can go to the magic wand, use Gaussian blur, set to layer, and drag your pen to the right to blur this shadow a bit. I'll go for 13.8%, then click the magic wand again. And now I'll go over one more time and very close to the bear, I'll darken that shadow again. Like that. Finally, I want to show you a way you can add more contrast, more shadow to your bear. You can do that by, for instance, going to layer 2 if you want to add more contrast, more shadow there. Let's turn off drawing assist, click the layer, turn off drawing assist, and you can go to the magic wand, then to curves, and set it to pencil. Now let's drag down this curve a little bit until it looks a bit like this. Now let's check the brush. I have it set to the soft brush. And now you can go over some areas. For instance here, bottom of its face. And you can add a little bit more shadow. Because when you move that curve, you can see that just that area is affected. And you can play around with the brush size, make it a bit bigger, like 10%. And just darken one side of its face. Go smaller, 5%. And this way you can manipulate shadow areas, but you can do the same thing by moving that curve up and add highlights to your bear. Let's do the same thing for its hands and feet. Let's go to the hands first. That's layer 3 with layer 7 clipped to it. Before we can manipulate the lighting, we need to merge these two layers. So let's squeeze them together. If they want to be squeezed, yes, there we have them. Then while we have layer 3 with the hands selected, we'll go to the magic wand again, go to curves, set to pencil, and drag that curve down. And now you can darken that edge, for instance. And on this hand as well, I'll darken that bottom part a little bit. And we can do the same for the feet. And again, you'll need to merge the clip layers with the base layer. There we have it. That's the right foot. Again, we'll go to the magic wand, use curves, set to pencil, drag that curve down, and And we can darken this shadow here. Because that big heart, it's casting a shadow there. And this is an easy way to darken that up. And now let's do the same for that left foot. Again, let's merge these. Let's see if I can make it work. Yes, one shot. Alright, layer 4. Then the magic wand, curves, set to pencil, drag down the curve. And then let's go over here and add a little bit more shadow. I think that's looking good. Then just click the magic wand to get out of that menu. And there it is, your cute bear. Now, who are you going to send it to? I hope you have enjoyed following this tutorial. If you did, then don't be shy, leave a comment, and be sure to check out the other You Can Draw This videos if you haven't already. I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.